Welcome, guys. Matt Johnson here, Helicopter DPE. I wanted to make a video, hopefully a quick video that you can get a lot out of in a short amount of time. And it concerns itself with the new National Weather Service aviationweather.gov platform that debuted October 16, 2023. I think it's a great platform, and the reason I'm doing this video is a couple reasons. I'm going to cover two main topics, and then there's two reasons I am doing the video. One, there's been some growing consternation and frustration with a lot of people because, let's face it, I'm one of them. I'm raising my hand. I know you don't see it, but I promise I'm raising my hand. We don't like change. It takes some time to adapt to change, and for those of us, I know me, 14 years or so flying air medical now, we don't like change, and a lot of us have become so content, if you will, with what I am now phrasing the legacy HEMS tool, okay? And I keep hearing that, oh, I can't believe they did this. The HEMS tool is gone. Well, that could be nothing further from the truth. It's simply rebranded, if you will. So it's still the same great product. In fact, maybe I'm a little biased here, but it's much better in my opinion. So I want to show you how to use this tool and give you some familiarity like you had with what I'm now calling that legacy HEMS tool. So I want to show you how to set it up to look like the HEMS tool so that you have that comfort factor there, and you could use this tool and all of its great capabilities. So here we are. This is the aviationweather.gov main page. Couple things I want to point out here. One, when you first pull the site up, a lot of people are like, okay, what's this? Well, I think it's a lot more modern than the previously or the legacy system that hadn't been updated or upgraded in, I think, the better part of a decade or more. So anyway, a little easier on the eyes here. A couple things to point out. You see current conditions and graphical forecast for aviation. Basically, if you click on either one of those two, it's going to take you to the same place. But before we do that, I do want to show you one of the nice new features that guys like me that are night owls that work a lot of night shifts. One of the things I like, you may have noticed, it looks dark. It's in dark mode. If we come up to the little person icon up here and click that, you have two options. You have a sign-in option. Hey, don't worry about that. You don't need a username and password to use this system. If you're one of those that want to get registered in the system and submit PIREPs and maybe a few other things, you could certainly do that, but it's certainly not required. But what I want to point out is you'll see a sun and a moon. The moon, we're in night mode right now. If I click that over, it'll go to day mode. Again, I like the night mode. Just a little easier on the eyes. Hey, it's whatever you like. So now let's get down to business. Again, you got the graphical forecast for aviation, and you've got the current conditions. I'm just going to click on current conditions. I kind of like this. It's going to remember your settings. In another video, I'll show you how to bookmark it, which is always nice because, you know, inevitably if you're flying air medical, 4 pilots at a base and all 4 kind of like something a little different. So you could certainly save those settings however you like. Okay. So in this view, you've got this large CONUS view, and you've got a lot of dots. So it remembered I had flight category dots set up, and I see that the GFA doing its magic here in some of these areas, showing me low IFR, marginal, and some red and flight category dots and so forth. So what I want to do, again, the first premise, that the reason, number 1 of 2 of this training video for you guys is I want to show you how to set it up like the HEMS tool, okay? The HEMS tool is basically, just look at it like it's been renamed, okay? So I work in the Southwest Ohio area, the Ohio-Kentucky tri-state area, if you will, and we like our counties. Air medical pilots, we like our counties. We like knowing where that is because why? It's a lot, hey, you know, scene flight, XYZ county, or et cetera, et cetera. So to do that, to make that look like what you are used to, I'm going to come up here to settings, configure map options. Now, a couple things I want to show you here before we get to counties. So I'm going to go to map format. One of the things that they've done here is you have the option to use the slider, use local time, and that'll be based on your computer settings. So be aware of that. And you can click that on, and you'll see here in the backdrop, it shows 6:53 p.m. and it gives me the date. I'm one of those, I don't really worry or care about Zulu. I want to see what's on my wristwatch or on my computer time. I want to see those real times, if you will. But the other main thing I wanted to point out is look at the base map. I like darker colors. I'm using dark gray, but you have all of these options that you used to have, and you also have some new options. So you have terrain, road, satellite view, dark gray, light gray. They even added charts, just like you have in ForeFlight, where you can pull up the sectional or even an IFR low and route, and you can go dark, light, simple, dark, and like. I'm not going to run through all those. You find what you like and make it look like how you want it to look, and like you had it in the Legacy HEMS tool if you want. So moving on, come down to map features. You have all these things under navigation. I don't use any of those. I'm glad they're there. I just don't use them. Airspace, airways, I don't care about that. I'm going to use ForeFlight for that stuff. I want to know weather, and I want to see those categorical dots, if you will, and that color coding. So come up to miscellaneous and click on counties. And while I'm here, you see a lot of people like roads, highways, rivers, various features, obstacles. You can have all sorts of things. For me, I like to keep it simple. I just want to have counties on there. I want to make it look like what the Legacy HEMS tool looked like. So I'm going to click counties and then click close, and then you will see that my counties are here. Now, I realize they're very faint. Understand that, one, I'm in a dark or night mode, and two, I chose that darker gray background because that works for me and I like it. Okay, so I stick with it. All right. Now, again, the HEMS tool was simply renamed. I want you to look up at the top right. You've got two icons. You've got an airplane. That's not us. And then you got a helicopter. Bingo, that's us. That is your HEMS tool, folks. Just make sure you click on the helicopter. Look at the difference. As I hover over, you'll see the general aviation mode is a 1 to 18 hour forecast up to 48,000 feet. Now, that certainly has merit if we want to go out further on the forecast to maybe know if the kid's going to have the T-ball game the next morning when your shift's over. But we like to know the recent past, the now, and the next little bit, if you will. We want that better temporal resolution. We want that timing. So for us, they give us, as you see, low altitude mode. This is, again, the graphical forecast for aviation, low altitude mode. It gives us a temporal resolution here, 1 to 5 hours, guys, and forecast up to 5,000 feet. And guess what? That's actually AGL for a lot of the products that I'll show you maybe in some other videos like icing and so forth. So that's kind of nice. If you look at the slider at the bottom, we've got our current real time here, or as close as real time as possible, and I can go back up to nearly 2 hours and see how things have progressed. Remember, weather situational awareness. If you look at it in terms of a Venn diagram, right? It's three circles interconnecting, and it is what happened in the past, what's happening now, and what we think is going to happen in the near future. That's your overall weather situational awareness. So let's look at this as an example. These guys up here today, if anyone's working up there, you got some crummy weather going on. And you see these colors, these flight categories, and what's going on here. You'll notice that looks just like, or nearly just like what the Legacy HEMS tool was. So let's see how it evolved. I want to go back 5 hours, and I want to go up a couple hours, and wow, you guys have just been dealing with crummy weather pretty much all day. All right. So let's come back here, and I want to show you real quickly, if you come up to the weather tab, before that, let's look over here, top left. This is how you know where you are. You're in observations, and you have flight category selected. All right. I'll get to the weather tab momentarily, but so I stay with me. I don't want to lose you here. Observations, flight category. And I want you to look just past the helicopter here and go to the active layers displayed option. You'll see these little, look like paper stacks. It's pretty much the same symbol or nearly the same as what you're used to with ForeFlight. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to give us our options here. So I don't want it cluttered with satellite or radar. Maybe I use ForeFlight for that, or maybe I've got a separate tab open. I want to know flight category, and I want to have my flight cat dots checked. Okay, so if I uncheck this and I just do this, I'll see the color dots up here. But if I want that resolution to show me Okay, I want the weather prediction model to show me what a given area is based on their computer forecast. I'm going to click on that, so I'll see that area is covered there. And by the way, sometimes when you open the platform, if it was left with METAR on, you have your traditional, if you're the true weather nerd like I am, you may have your full METAR and all your symbols up there, but in reality, I don't use that. I really don't. It's way too cluttered. I think there's just too much display there. So I'm going to uncheck that and just go back to this mode here. Now, a second ago, I almost went up to the weather tab. I don't want to leave you in suspense here. So you're in observations, flight category. There's really two options that you're really concerned with here. So go to the weather tab, and you've got observations, and it's hard to see. There's a faint line here, but everything below that is a forecast, all right? So I'll probably do a video on most of these products later, but keeping this as general as I can, I do want to pick icing for a reason, all right? The resolution, both in time and spatial resolution from a vertical aspect, for that matter, is different for us. And we're in helicopter mode. Look what they did for the vertical slider over here. It's in AGL, above ground level. It starts at 500 feet and it goes to 5,000 feet. And again, remember where we are. We're below this line, so it's a forecast, right? So the current time, if you will, is here at the far left, and then we can go out over time, out to 5 hours. Now, here is where I do like to use the airplane mode. Don't tell anyone, but I do like to use the airplane mode for things like the icing forecast. And here's why. If I really want to drill down and see where that icing, where the forecast is, I'll go to airplane mode, okay? Now, by default, in airplane mode, remember what it gives you, guys. It's a general aviation forecast, 1 to 18 hours. So look, you've got much more span here on your time slider, and it goes up to 48,000 feet, and it's MSL, right, for those airplane guys and girls out there. So it always, by default, starts at max. So that kind of gives me an idea. So I just want to, back out here a little bit and say, okay, let's go to 3,000. Okay, 6,000. All right, so let's go up to 12,000. We're starting to get some stuff. But I just want to show you how that populates on the screen. Now, another nice feature that I really like about this, and the National Weather Service was open to my feedback because the icing probability was going to go away. And I said, no way. We really need that, especially in air medical or any helicopter operations for that matter. So I'm going to come up to my layer area here, and I'm going to go to this drop down, and I have all these options, right? So I have icing severity, severity with super cool droplets, ooh, really bad. Icing probability, that is important to me. And by the way, let's take a look. While we're in the icing category, let's click on our legend. All right, look at this: trace, light, moderate, and heavy. All right, so that being said, pretend these altitudes for icing are much lower, as they will be in coming months, as I filmed this nearly Halloween of 2023. But there's a graphical, or what you may have known as the legacy Zulu airmet, the graphical airmet for icing. We see it up here, right? The severity is moderate, but hey, look at all this. There's icing, but there's no airment issued. Why is that? That's because these airments are only issued for what? Moderate or greater, all right? So there's times that we as helicopter pilots, with most of us, the overwhelming majority, fly non-icing certificated helicopters. Icing in helicopters is bad for so many reasons, right? So let's exit out of the legend here, and now I want to switch, and I want to go over to probability. So we see our probability, and if I'm in my area, okay, again, let's pretend this altitude was lower. I had to go high today to find some icing probability because we have a warmer atmosphere the last few days. But regardless, there's no airment for icing there, but goodness, we've got, all over the board here, 25 to 65, maybe 70% probability of icing. We just know that it's not at the moderate level. So that is very important. Make sure you pay attention and take a look at icing probability. Okay, so that was one of two main reasons I wanted to do this introductory video, if you will. Maybe throwing a lot at you, but we're still going to call it an introductory video at this point. But the second reason is I wanted to go over something with you that's near and dear to me, because nearly, like I said, 14 years or so flying air medical. I've been bitten in the butt a few times, and anyone that's been flying air medical for any appreciable amount of time has been bitten in the butt on this. They may not want to admit it, but hey, I'll raise my hand. I know you can't see on this video, but I'm raising my hand right now. And I've been bitten in the butt, and many other air medical pilots, with what I have phrased a green dot syndrome. Okay. What is that? Well, we see green. What do we have up here? We have flight cat dots. All right. So let's go to the legend. What is that? Well, we know we have magenta, red, blue, and green, right? Green is VFR. From a meteorological point of view, that specific color coding is green, right? So when we see all green, we go. All is good, right? Green means go. We're good to go. Now, who has noticed, hopefully several of you, that the new platform has green dots, and it also has green dots with orange rings around the green dot? You have likely said, what is going on here? I don't know. So being the prudent pilot that you are, you hopefully went down to the legend, and guess what? There's nothing there. There's nothing there yet, but the National Weather Service has assured me they are working on it, and you will see the legend updated to have a green dot with an orange ring around it. Okay. Now, spoiler alert, it's not an error. It does mean something, and it's there specifically to help us combat green dot syndrome. And I'm so thankful to National Weather Service. This was my #1 recommendation when I pleaded my case to them, and there was like no debate at all. They realized how beneficial this could be to us, not only in air medical, but all low-level flying aircraft, helicopters and airplanes. So what does it mean? All right, well, to do that, let's go back to some basic Private Pilot 101 stuff, and let's talk about what constitutes a ceiling. All right, before we talk about what constitutes a ceiling, let's just do a quick review, as you see here on the screen, with these flight category meteorological colors. Okay, so we see everything spanning from the pink, or I'm sorry, the magenta, red, blue, and green. There's that green. Go, we're good to go. We have a ceiling greater than 3,000 and visibility greater than 5, etc. And then we have marginal and so forth. Okay, so let's take a look at this here. And again, we're going back to some Private Pilot 101 stuff. All right. Anyone that's ever done a check ride with me in the last better part of a decade as an examiner, they know, they hear about it, people talk, it's no surprise. He's going to ask you, what constitutes a ceiling? And it's important to know that for many reasons. But here's a quick review. If it's few or scattered, that is not a ceiling. A ceiling is the lowest layer of the lowest broken or overcast layer. So looking at this graphic here, if you didn't know, you know now. Sky cover is measured in 8ths or octas. So if you look at, say, a scattered layer, that's 3 to 4 octas. That's considered scattered. Okay, simple enough. If you go down to 5, 6, or 7/8, that's broken. And guess what? That is a ceiling. And obviously 8/8 or 100% coverage would be overcast. So let's look at this in another little graphic, if you will. I like using this little window pane, if you will, divided into 8ths, and you see there's a, just a two octas coverage there on the left, and then you have more on the right. So it kind of gives you a good visualization. Now, here's a couple screenshots. You'll notice that, yeah, they're screenshots. It's not live real time. This is prior to October 16th because you see the experimental tag there on the screen. Now, I want you to look at this. I told you I work as an air medical pilot in the Southwest Ohio area, the tri-state Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana area, and you'll see that if I were to have a flight northeast of my area, if I looked at this, and prior to October 16th, or prior to the experimental platform introducing this concept, if you will, I would have seen this and I would have said, oh, let's go. We're green. We are good to go. We are, if you come up here, we are all green. We know that we've got a ceiling greater than 3,000 feet and visibility greater than 5 miles. All is good. Let's go. Well, here's where green dot syndrome can bite you in the butt. This is why I asked the National Weather Service to give us some sort of indication, some identifier to draw us in to look at those, as I've called the worn out cliche, the devil in the details, if you will. So another screenshot. If you click on those, and you have to take my word for it, I could only click one at a time for these screenshots. But look, one of these I clicked on, scattered at 300 feet. All of those dots that had the orange ring, they were anywhere scattered 300 feet up to 700 or 800 feet. So there was a lot going on there, right? But it was a green dot. You know, prior to the implementation of this, it was a green dot. And again, green dot syndrome has bitten all of us. I'm sure it's bitten a few of you watching this video. But scattered at 300 feet. Let's go back and review. Let's beat this dead horse some more, right? So it's a scattered layer at 3 to 4 octaves, and it's green, right? Because it's at 300 feet. But look, if it picks up one more octa of coverage, we go from what? We go from a green dot to a low IFR with just 1 octa of coverage. And most people would say, well, that didn't progress logically. We didn't drop. We didn't go VFR to marginal and then red and, oh, wow, it's really low IFR magenta. And that is the reason that we have these orange rings around those green dots to avoid the green dot syndrome. Okay, guys, I hope you got something out of this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I hope to do more videos on the National Weather Service platform in the near future. Everyone, fly safe.